New Hampshire primary just 4 days away could be a game changer for a whole lot of candidates for a whole lot of reasons. New Hampshire could be make or break for this guy, Chris Christie. New Bridgegate developments coming out today sure aren't going to help his chances. Then we take a look at the Super Bowl. NFL on a super roll and raking in billions of dollars, but is the underlying state of the game really all that healthy? Good evening and welcome to RFL. I'm Richard French. Thank you so much for joining us. New Hampshire primary is now, as I mentioned, just 4 days away, and this one could cause more Republicans to drop out when it's all said and done. Chris Christie, John Kasich, Carly Fiorina, all on thin ice as they campaign in icy New Hampshire, and that says nothing about Jeb Bush. According to a brand new poll, each of those are now in single digits and way back in the pack. Donald Trump holding a double-digit lead over Marco Rubio, who is gaining, and Ted Cruz. Jeb Bush is mentioned, also fighting for his political future. He's relying on family ties now to get some juice in his campaign. He's brought out Mom. Barbara hitting the campaign trail with him in New Hampshire today. But Jeb has enough money, one would argue, to continue even if he flops in the Granite State. Christie and some others, maybe not so much. Now, for analysis, let's bring in our political snow angels. Shelley Mayer, Democratic Assemblywoman representing Yonkers. We're going to be talking about an important project she's got going on here. Dominic Carter, political journalist and author. Scott Vanderhoff, former 5-term Republican county exec. And Andrew Whitman, our senior political correspondent, who will be making his way up this weekend to New Hampshire. We'll have live reports on Monday and Tuesday. Biggest takeaway, Andrew, from the numbers?
Biggest takeaway from the numbers for me is that exactly what you said off the top, that it's make or break for Christie, for Kasich, for Fiorina, for Jeb Bush. I mean, even if Jeb Bush, he's got the money that he could keep going in this race, even if he does not have a good showing on Tuesday, but his campaign is effectively over if he doesn't have that good finish on Tuesday. He can stay around longer, but it won't be anything of a factor. Most of those candidates, and especially Chris Christie, have been attacking Marco Rubio, trying to unclog that establishment lane. And I'm not sure that that's a tactic that's serving them all that well. I think they need to reestablish and reconnect with as many voters as they possibly can and establish why they should be president as opposed to why the other guy shouldn't be.
If you're a betting man right now, is it more likely that Rubio is going to really close the gap here and after Tuesday night we're going to say, this guy, he may be clearing himself in the pack, or that Trump reasserts himself, has a good Tuesday, wins, maybe not by what the polls originally chose, but nonetheless wins, and de facto again has momentum going into South Carolina, Nevada, and then Super Tuesday?
Well, I'm not a betting man, but I'll bet that Rubio is gaining. One of the polls today, not the one that you showed him only 10 points behind. Yep. And Kasich in third place. So Kasich is also moving here. And I think you're going to see this moving around quite a bit. And, of course, like Iowa, New Hampshire folks don't really choose, according to history, until like the last 2 or 3 days when they actually get involved. So you may see Rubio come into second place, and you may see Trump falling because he doesn't have the kind of ground game, as I understand it, as do others. And so I think that those three and maybe Kasich are going to be switching around a lot. And that's why, I think Governor, what's his name, is going after Rubio, all the governors. Yeah. All the three governors.
There's no shortage, absolutely. You think come Wednesday we're going to hear goodbye from who in the Republican field?
Certainly Governor Christie. He might as well quit now. I wish in a star. I mean, is that the way you say a star, a dollar in a dream, whatever? It's not working. He's done. Kasich is going to hang around. It's going to be a battle for who's the establishment guy. They are effective. All the Republican, they're painting Marco Rubio as an empty suit, and it's starting to work. So who knows what's going to happen down the road? I wouldn't write off Kasich, and I'm not willing to write off Jeb Bush. If for no other reason, Jeb Bush is going to hang around and make sure that if he's going down, Marco Rubio is going down with him.
Let me pivot to
Trump.
Yes.
Trump. I'm sorry, I just want to say one thing about Trump. I have a funny hunch, I could be wrong, that Trump is getting bored with all of this. How do you not be in New Hampshire on the Friday before the primary? With all of the speculation that your plane can't land in New Hampshire? Well, last time I checked, New Hampshire is only a 5-hour drive away. So why couldn't you drive, Mr. Trump? And that's why Jeb Bush is tweeting out that his mother is in New Hampshire and Donald Trump is not.
At age 90.
At age 90. Thank you, Assemblywoman.
Still going strong. All right, let's pivot to the Democrats. I saw some of the debate last night. We're going to have 4 more of these things. But anyway.
It was long, I'll give you that.
Hillary seemed to have an edge to her a little bit more than maybe some prior debates. And she's got to navigate that line where she doesn't want to alienate some folks by going too hard after Sanders. But I think internally they made a miscalculation that they're acknowledging that they didn't take him as seriously as maybe they should have in the beginning. She seems to be going after him. And certainly the Wall Street, how she defines herself from that criticism, do you think she's figured out her answer yet?
I thought she did extremely well on that last night. First place, I think coming out, I thought she looked very presidential. Like she could be really the commander-in-chief. She has the information. I thought she really distinguished herself. I have a lot of respect for him, but I thought he honestly seemed like a one-trick pony, you know, if that's an old-fashioned phrase. Everything that's not the only issue, income inequality, that you face as president. You face a range of issues. You have to be capable and dynamic and shift. He's so well-spoken and articulate, and he clearly speaks to a hunger in people for someone to address this. But I thought she really distinguished herself, and I thought her toughness was to her advantage. I thought she handled the Wall Street thing extremely well. She basically said, look, I am who I am. These contributions do not change my vote. You can look at my record. And frankly, he backed off after that.
Yeah. I agree. I thought that Hillary performed very well last night. The other thing is, for the first time I got the sense as I was watching the debate last night, boy, that Bernie Sanders would be terrific in the U.S. Senate. Like, that's the perfect place for him to be. You want sort of the people on the ends of the spectrum who are loud and stir the pot. That's where you want them in the Senate. You want Ted Cruz in this. Well, not everybody does, but what's a better place for him?
What's the number? It's all about expectations. We say it every night. In some polls, he was up 20 points. At the end of Tuesday night, when you're given the returns, if she's within what, can she claim, if not victory here, that it's not an abject failure?
I think she's going to claim if it's in single digits that it's a victory, that she's been able to have the lead, if not better. I don't necessarily think that's true. I think if she gets within 5 or 6, that she can reasonably claim that she basically evened the field, considering the home field advantage that Bernie has coming from Vermont and being right next door in New Hampshire. But I mean, look, I suspect if she finished 20 points behind, she would consider it a victory, or at least publicly say so.
Going back to your point, he doesn't belong in the Senate. He belongs in an academic institution where they can talk about these things.
That's the Senate.
That may be right. I thought she performed really well last night. And what she did was she took apart, she unraveled all of this broad stuff that he likes to throw around, and she did a very good job with it. And she showed some passion last night, too, which she hasn't done. And I don't know, there's a whole article about shrillness. I don't think she was shrill last night at all. I think she picked apart some of his arguments and his broad things we should take from the wealthy. I mean, send them to Amherst. I mean,
listen, for me, the one thing I think she figured out is, not all politicians can be warm and fuzzy. They can make you love them and whatever else. I've always thought, even though personally, of all the politicians, and you guys have dealt with her, she actually is very likable if you get to know her. Okay? People would never believe me when I tell you. I tell you she's got more warmth than just about anybody that I've dealt with, including her husband, by the way, and all the rest. People have charm. She doesn't ooze that at all. I thought she decided, I'm not going to be everybody's favorite person, warm and cuddly. I can't do that. But she can come across as smart, she can come across as tough, and she can come across as hungry. And I think she was afraid to show the hungry part before. Whoever got in her head and whatever said, you're not going to be everybody's best friend, but be the smartest person in the room. I think she did that yesterday. Anyway, we'll see. All right, I want to save a lot of time for the next few topics here, including a story we haven't talked that much about because, frankly, it hasn't been in the headlines, but it was today. Bridgegate. Developments on the story that continue to haunt Chris Christie. Even if he does drop out in the not-too-distant future, he's got a problem on his hands back in the Garden State. We'll tell you what happened today after this.